What if Ty never really died? What if that one moment fans cried over for years was not the end of his story? Picture this. It is the first episode of season 20. Amy is standing in the barn like she has done 1,000 times before. Then a truck pulls up. A man steps out. And for 1 second, her whole world stops. Could this be the twist nobody saw coming? Stay with me, because this theory is about to break your heart all over again. Before we dive into this theory, let us take a quick look back at who Ty Borden really was and why his loss hit fans so hard. Ty was not just Amy's husband. He was her anchor. From the very first season, their bond felt real. He was the guy who saw Amy for who she truly was, even when she pushed everyone else away. He supported her gift with horses, stood by her through every storm, and slowly became the heart of the Heartland family. When the show decided to write him off, it was not an easy goodbye. Ty's death was sudden and painful. He was shown getting into an accident after rushing to help someone in need, staying true to his character right until the end. For many fans, that scene was one of the most emotional moments in the entire series. Amy's grief afterward was raw and real. She had to learn how to live again, how to raise their daughter Lyndy alone, and how to keep running Heartland without the person she built her future with. That loss changed the entire tone of the show. Amy became more guarded. She poured herself into work and family, but there was always a quiet sadness underneath her strength. Fans watched her slowly rebuild her life, season after season, but many still felt like something was missing. Ty's presence, even in memory, never really faded from the story. This is exactly why fans still talk about him today. Heartland is a show built on hope, second chances, and healing. So it is not surprising that some viewers started wondering, what if his death was not the full truth? What if there was more to that night than what was shown on screen? Shows have done unexpected twists before, and fans of Heartland are passionate enough to imagine every possible outcome for the characters they love. This emotional connection is the foundation of the theory we are about to explore. Because if there is one character whose return could shake Heartland to its core, it is Ty. And that brings us to the big question this video is built around. What if in the very first episode of season 20, Ty walks back into Amy's life? Now here is where things get interesting. Let us imagine the opening minutes of season 20 episode 1. The camera does not start at Heartland. Instead, it opens somewhere far away, a small town Amy has never even heard of. A man is working on a ranch, quiet, keeping to himself, avoiding eye contact with anyone who gets too close. His hands are rough from years of labor, his face is older, tired, but something about his eyes feels familiar. He does not speak much. He does not smile much either, but every time a horse struggles, he moves toward it without thinking twice, like it is second nature. That single detail is the first clue. For this theory to work, we need a reason strong enough to explain why Ty would have stayed away all this time. So let us imagine this. On the night of the accident, Ty did survive, but just barely. He was found badly injured, unconscious, with no identification on him. By the time he woke up in a hospital far from home, his memory was damaged. He could not remember his name, his family, or the life he left behind. Doctors and local caretakers helped him recover physically, but the emotional pieces of his past stayed locked away, buried somewhere deep in his mind. Years pass. He builds a quiet life, working with horses because something about them feels comforting, even if he does not know why. He never questions it much. He just accepts this new version of himself. Until one day, something small happens. Maybe he hears a song. Maybe he sees a photo in an old newspaper. Maybe a young girl on the ranch reminds him of someone he cannot quite place. And slowly, pieces of his old life begin to come back. This is the emotional core of the theory. Ty is not choosing to stay away. He simply does not know who he used to be. It is not about betrayal or secrets. It is about loss on a completely different level. And once that memory starts returning, one destination becomes impossible to ignore. Heartland.by the time the episode reaches its final minutes, we see him standing outside a very familiar gate, staring at a sign he does not fully understand yet, but somehow feels connected to. And that is exactly where Amy comes in. This is the scene fans have been imagining for years, and if it ever happened, it would completely break the internet. Picture the Heartland Ranch in the early evening light, the kind of soft golden glow the show is famous for. Amy is finishing up chores, maybe brushing down a horse, her mind somewhere else entirely. She hears the sound of a truck pulling up the driveway. Nothing unusual. Ranch life is full of visitors coming and going. She does not even look up right away. Then something makes her pause. Maybe it is the way the truck door closes. Maybe it is the sound of boots on gravel. A rhythm she has not heard in years but somehow still remembers in her body before her mind even catches up. She turns around slowly, expecting a neighbor or a delivery, and instead she sees a man standing at the edge of the yard, hesitant, unsure if he is even allowed to be there. For a moment, neither of them moves. Amy's brush stays frozen in her hand. Her breathing changes before she even understands why. And then his face becomes clear enough for her to see. It is Ty, older, quieter, carrying the weight of years she knows nothing about. But unmistakably him. This is where the emotional writing needs to slow down completely. No dramatic music swelling too fast, no rushed dialogue. Just silence. The kind of silence that says more than words ever could. Amy takes a step back without meaning to, one hand pressing against a stable wall like she needs something solid to hold on to. Her eyes fill with tears before she even decides to cry. Disbelief takes over first. This cannot be real. People do not come back from the dead. She has grieved him, buried him emotionally, built an entire life around the fact that he was never coming home. Ty does not rush toward her. He stays where he is, giving her space, his own eyes glassy, his voice barely above a whisper when he finally says her name. Just her name, nothing else. That single word is enough to shatter the careful control Amy has held onto for years, and in that moment, the show does not need dramatic music or big speeches. It needs exactly this. Two people standing frozen in front of each other. Both changed, both scared, both silently asking the same question. Is this really happening? Once the shock of seeing Ty settles in, even just a little, the story cannot stay focused on Amy alone. A moment this big would send waves through everyone connected to Heartland, and that ripple effect is what would make the episode feel so real. Think about Lyndy first. She was just a baby when Ty passed, so she never truly knew her father. Now imagine her, older, curious, maybe even a little confused, watching her mother react to a stranger with tears and trembling hands. How do you explain something like this to a child who only knows her dad through photographs and stories other people told her? Then there is Lou. She has spent years being Amy's rock, helping raise Lyndy, running the family business, holding everything together during the hardest seasons of grief. Lou's reaction would likely be a mix of joy and fear. Joy because she loves her sister and wants her to be happy. Fear because she knows how fragile Amy's heart still is, and how easily this could turn into more pain if something goes wrong. Lou might even be the one asking hard questions Ty is not ready to answer yet. Like where he has been, why it took so long, and what this means for the family moving forward. Jack, always the quiet strength of the family, would carry his own complicated emotions. He watched Amy fall apart after losing Ty, and rebuilding her again piece by piece. Seeing him return could feel like a miracle, but also like walking into unfamiliar territory. Jack has always protected this family fiercely, and this moment would test that instinct in a completely new way. And then there is the question fans love to debate the most. What happens to any relationship Amy may have built since Ty's death? If she has moved forward with someone else, even slightly, Ty's return creates an emotional storm nobody can avoid. Loyalty, love, guilt, and confusion would all crash into each other at once. Nobody in the story gets to feel just one emotion. Everyone is forced to face something they were not ready for. That is what makes this theory so powerful. It is not just about Ty coming back. It is about how one person's return can quietly shake the foundation of an entire family that spent years learning how to live without him. If this theory ever became real, the reaction from fans would be massive, and honestly, quite divided. Heartland has one of the most loyal fan communities in television, people who have followed Amy's journey for almost 2 decades. So a twist this big would not just trend online, it would spark deep emotional conversations across every platform imaginable. On one side, you would have fans who have waited for this exact moment since the day Ty died. These are the viewers who never fully accepted his exit, who felt like the show moved on too quickly, or who simply believe true love stories like Amy and Ty deserve a real ending, not one built on tragedy. For these fans, this twist would feel like justice. It would feel like the show finally listening to years of heartbreak and giving them the reunion they always dreamed about. Social media would explode with reaction videos, fan edits, and emotional posts describing exactly how they felt watching that barnyard scene unfold. On the other side, you would have fans who might push back hard against this idea. Some viewers feel that bringing a character back from the dead, especially using something like memory loss, can feel like a shortcut. They might argue that Amy's growth after Ty's death was one of the most powerful parts of her character arc, an undoing that could take away from everything she built on her own. These fans might worry that this twist risks turning a heartfelt story into something that feels less believable, especially after so many years have passed in the show's timeline. Then there would be a third group, maybe the loudest of them all, fans who are simply excited about the drama this creates, regardless of how they feel about the outcome. They would be the ones debating in comment sections, creating theory videos just like this one, arguing about what should happen next, and predicting how every single character might react. Whether they support the twist or completely reject it, one thing is certain, nobody would be able to stay silent about it. That is the real power of a theory like this. It does not just entertain, it pulls people into a conversation, forces them to re-examine everything they thought they knew about these characters, and reminds everyone why they fell in love with this story in the first place. Now let us step back for a second and ask the real question. Would a twist like this actually work for Heartland, or would it end up doing more harm than good to a story fans have loved for so long? This is where we have to think like writers, not just dreamers. A powerful twist needs more than just shock value. It needs to respect everything that came before it. On one hand, bringing Ty back through something like memory loss gives the writers a chance to explore grief in a completely new way. Instead of just showing Amy mourning a death, we would get to see her face something almost harder, choosing whether to open her heart again to someone who is both familiar and a stranger at the same time. That kind of emotional complexity could lead to some of the most powerful storytelling the show has ever done. It would not just be about celebration. It would be about rebuilding trust, rebuilding identity, and figuring out if two people who have both changed can still find their way back to each other. On the other hand, there is real risk here. Heartland built years of character growth around Amy learning to stand strong without Ty. She became a mother on her own, a rancher on her own, a leader in her family on her own. If his return happens too easily, or feels like it erases that growth instead of building on it, fans could feel like everything Amy went through was undone just to bring back a fan favorite. The writing would need to be incredibly careful, slow and honest, never rushing the reunion just for the sake of drama. This is exactly why fan theories like this one are so fascinating to explore. It is not just about whether Ty comes back. It is about what his return would mean for every choice Amy has made since he left. A truly great version of this twist would not try to erase her pain. It would honor it, while still giving both characters a real, believable path forward. So here is the real question for you. If Heartland brought Ty back this way, would you welcome it with open arms, or would you feel like it changes the story you fell in love with? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of theory that deserves a real conversation. So there it is. A theory that could completely change everything fans thought they knew about where Heartland is headed. Whether you believe Ty should come back this way or think Amy's story is stronger without him, one thing is clear. This idea has sparked something powerful. It reminded us why we fell in love with these characters in the first place, why their pain feels real, and why their happiness matters so much to so many people watching. At the end of the day, this is just a theory, built from imagination, hope, and years of emotional investment in a story that means a lot to its fans. Nothing here is confirmed by the actual show, and only the real writers know what direction season 20 will truly take. But that is the beauty of storytelling. Even without knowing the real answer, we get to imagine, debate, and dream about what could happen next. Maybe Ty really is out there somewhere in this version of the story, slowly finding his way back home. Or maybe Amy's journey is meant to continue on a completely different path, one built on everything she has become since that painful goodbye. Either way, her strength, her love for her family, and her connection to Heartland remain the true heart of this show. Now it is your turn. Do you think a twist like this would bring closure? Or do you think it would take away from everything Amy has built on her own? Would you want to see Ty walk back through that gate? Or do you think some goodbyes are meant to stay goodbyes? Type your honest thoughts in the comments below, because theories like this only get better when we discuss them together. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Heartland and love exploring theories like this one, make sure you are subscribed, because there is a lot more where this came from. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new theory, and check out the next video linked right here, where we dive into another twist that could change everything for the Heartland family. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.